now you can succeed. Have you thought about what success means to you? What would it feel like? How would you know if you had it, if you were living it, or why haven't you been experiencing it now? And there could be many, many reasons for that, but one of them might be because I wasn't willing to do that yet either, because I was supposed to tell you that you could become so successful and have everything you want because that is a part of your evolutionary path. That is why you were born. And then I was supposed to tell you that you do have a divine plan. That was why you were on the earth. You just may not have believed that. I didn't. And I didn't believe myself. And I will tell you that will be the only difficulty that you will experience in your life. And I know this. At 74, I've done all of that. So I do get it. But I was given something else to give to you. That was my life journey. You have one as well that is really valuable. And when you live it, you will not only experience the kind of success in whatever area of your life you want to have it, but you will also make a great contribution to our world because we happen to be moving through a big change in our world, which is why you may have not been able to realize who you are or your importance. But again, that's why I came around. For me to tell you that took 74 years because I couldn't accept what I was here to do, just like you might not have, but that's perfect. Because what happens is then we figure it out, we give it to others, and then they have a much easier time. That's called evolution. We all do it. But we have to decide how we're going to evolve or if we're going to evolve. And sometimes we don't because it might be scary. It is challenging to own yourself because you've been taught other things. It was incredibly challenging for me because I'm doing something that no one could understand, except it healed me because it was part of my path and it was what I was meant to do, just as you were meant to do something, and it's not going to look like anyone else. It is yours, it's valuable, and it's within you, and I know that. I'm going to show you this document. It's on my site, anyadvicefortoday.com, but I'm just going to go through a few of them and explain why I know how incredibly valuable you are, how I know you have this divine plan, this purpose, and why I know that the only difficulty that you might have experienced in your life ever was not understanding who you were or your potential or just being a little afraid of going there. Those are the only things that happen because no people are born without a grand purpose. They just may not find it. And we've seen that. We've seen people who just live their entire lives and never get anywhere. It's because they're not willing to do the work that you might do, which is discovering who you are and deciding to become really successful or experience what it feels like. Because success is actually a feeling of fulfillment where you're no longer afraid, where you're no longer doubting yourself, where you have confidence. And those words I could have never said to you 40 years ago because I didn't have that. And I'm going to show you why because I'm giving you gifts today. I've given you so many, but this is the one that I'm doing today as I'm making this change in my life as you're being advised to do. We all are because we're moving through a big change. So the energy of you becoming successful will help change our world because that's what's happening now. And I will show you this. But I want you to, when you go to the site and read it, take some time and just go through each one. You'll see what happens. But let me explain it to you first. And it is this. So last night I heard, now you can succeed. This is what happens when I hear things. That's my intuition. That's Wilhelm speaking to me, which has gone on since 1989, probably even longer than that. But as you look at the messages, you'll read each one, and you will gain something from it that will give you another way of coming to understand who you are. And so when it goes back to 2008, and they use that specifically because that was an energetic change that was happening in our world, just as there is one occurring now, a very huge one, which is why the energies have been really active, let's say. Okay, but this is the thing, when you start here, whenever you blame anyone else for your current life experience, you lose your power and creativity. It is not possible to look at any area of your life and judge it as being bad and then place that particular cause onto someone else without feeling like a victim in some manner. You are never a victim, and your first difficulty was seeing the situation as being bad in the first place. All that has occurred is that you gave yourself opportunities to find out, remember, and experience who you truly are. Ask yourself different questions. What did you desire to remember, learn, or grow into? Whatever terms work for you. But it is not important what you call it, for all you wanted to do was expand. Expansion is what life is all about, and you cannot accomplish this without the particular challenges you have given yourself. Again, remove the judgment. That makes it all much lighter. I'm going to tell you each message as you go through, and I again, I just last night they said just put these down, and I want you to have them. And as you go through them, you will see that you will understand something about yourself. We all evolve in our consciousness. It happens over time. We have to use linear time to kind of figure out who we are. We do that individually, but also we do it collectively. And I'm going to show you that. So I'm going to leave you with a couple of things that will give you a little more understanding, is because that's really what I want you to have, because the last several years, and I know in your life, have been really unsettling. Maybe what's going on, why am I changing, why is the world looking this way, what's going to happen next, all of those things. And we do have answers because it's all energetically woven into our universe. We just figure it out, and sometimes that journey is really challenging, as it was for me. However, now it's not that for you. When Wilhelm said they gave us an ascension guide, I had to think about what did that mean, and ascension was what I moved through in my life. So this is why I know you can accomplish anything, because I've done it. I couldn't have created this and give it to you unless I had moved through it and then also seen the results of it, because the results are you become happy, you know your purpose, and you heal in ways that you can't imagine. And that's the story that I have not told yet, which is what I'm going to be doing next. Okay, and so each one of these, there's no situation or event that shows up in your life experience that you may term as disastrous that does not also hold the key to further advancement and evolvement. Now you must remember, I've lived all of this. So every single one of these words that came through from Wilhelm, I knew it became really accurate because I've experienced it. So I do know that you can achieve these things because it's in your consciousness. But that consciousness has been programmed, all of us, individually and then collectively. And so Wilhelm said, we're going to give you something new that you guys can use to kind of up-level your consciousness, and that's what this work is. Communication is always available when you decide to pay attention. That's each of us. You know you have that still small voice or something you're hearing that you sometimes listen to or ignore. We all do it, but we then try to pretend it's not happening. Your expansion is completely up to you. Okay, it goes on from there. You'll have the document. I'm going to leave that in the description here because I want you to have that so you would understand. Now, but I'm going to show you something else, because you have a connection to guidance that's within you. However you think of that, it doesn't matter, but it is there. Every human has that, except that we've been taught different things through our families, our parents, our ancestors, whoever it is, but more importantly, through society. We start accepting things about ourselves because we're accepting information that has been formed before we got here. That information is always limited whenever we might be living. And so, but accepting that is like, wow, who am I supposed to be? And that will be your only difficulty, because you're supposed to be something different. But you're maybe trying to figure out who you're supposed to be in a different realm, and that's why you're not succeeding. I know this because I did it. And then I had to be pushed out of the way. That's what happens sometimes. The universe will just push you. No, go to the place you're supposed to be. But I'm going to show you a couple things that happened and take you on a little trajectory, because you're going to have a little education about how you can develop. And so even with just this video and what I'll give you, you will start to know that you can succeed now. Because all you have to do is change your mind, and that's what happens. You only perceive or experience yourself through your consciousness. You have to think about that. You're looking at the world through the consciousness that you hold now, which is always limited. And then you have to decide, wait a minute, there's more, so let me go over that. But that's the place where it gets a little scary, because now you have to go into that unknown. What's going to happen to me if I do that? What are people going to think? Yeah, I know that one. I lived with that one for all of my life. Why is this guy doing this work? So I'll show you how it came about now. There isn't anything you can't accomplish. It's just that you have to decide that you're going to do it. And sometimes it will be scary for you. And I'm going to tell you, 1989, this is the very first message that I received from Wilhelm. And when I sat down and wrote that, it was frightening because I was making a connection to something that I didn't understand. You've probably done that in different ways yourself, and it could have surprised you because we all have that communication. We may not trust it or listen to it or believe it. And sometimes that belief is the only difficulty you're going to have, and it was mine for so many years, but for a different reason. Because I had to make sure that I was doing something that not was going to be being led by my ego, because that's the difficulty that you will have in your life. That's the difficulty that we're seeing in our world now. From more of us, we're operating from our egos instead of from this place of loving ourselves and others. That's all that goes on. So, February 19th, 1989. Yes, it is indeed wise for you to realize how powerful you are and also to acknowledge the innate benevolence of your being. You seem to consistently maintain a fear that somehow you would use your power in an ego oriented way to the detriment of others. The truth for you is exactly the opposite, for the more you gain, you give away. The anger you sense or hostility at times, as you have also been aware of, is not truly directed at others, but merely a reflection of your inner frustration with the intellectual knowledge of your power and your simultaneous restriction of that power, which causes friction. It is everyone's power to do with as they please, and your individual way is becoming more clear and purposeful for you. Be careful of the instilled limitations which would not have you own your worth. Relax and enjoy. And so that came through in 1989, and today is when I'll relax and enjoy and believe it. I'm just saying this because I never want you to judge yourself for when you have decided that you're going to own your life mission, because that is what you have. Every soul does. But what also happens is it shows up at the right time in your life and in our world. Right now, there are energies that are moving around that are probably telling you that this is the right time, which is why I'm doing this video today. Last night I'm having a call with my family, my brothers and nephew, and my nephew says, well, you could have done this 20 years ago. I said, no, I couldn't have, and you couldn't have either, because that is not how it works. You have to understand your life path, the timing of it, how it shows up, and you just have to take the next step and not judge it, as the message says, because most times we're judging ourselves or what we have done or not done. And so you've had a difficult time now, probably, if you're listening, if you're searching around, but you have been developing something within you that's going to be great, and the world is asking for it to come about now. And I'll give you a message that tells you, because I know it's true for you. It's true for each of us, but we might not even grab it or believe it. The belief is the most difficult thing, and that's where the cognitive behavior training or understanding or comes into play, and I put something together for that for you as well, because I want you to have it just for a little more education. But this message, I want you to understand, no matter what you've gone through, there's nothing that happened bad. Nothing. You just have not maybe interpreted it in a correct way, or you didn't understand the guidance that you were being given moving to another place, because that's always what happens. And this is the message. When you are moving through your life and things seem so stressful for you and you don't understand why, what is going on, and then you might have felt it just from what was going on in the world, and you're feeling this pressure and you're why. So this message will help you, because I know that it's absolutely accurate and true for you. You were being prepared. Attempt to hold that idea in your consciousness as you think about your life so far. When you approach it in this manner, the events, circumstances, and experiences you have had begin to make sense. This process, then, is far different than you judging yourself for what you have done or not done in your life, or thinking something has gone wrong. Nothing ever goes wrong. It is that you only come to understand this later. The reason you were being prepared is so that you would accept your greatness, truly. And receiving that message then, I thought that sounds really great, but I'm not going to do it. I didn't understand, why have I gone through all these terrible things? Why am I suffering? Why am I struggling? It's because I wasn't willing to take the next step. The same would be true for you, but it's also a journey. And you got to understand, you do it a bit at a time. That's why this little thing I'll give you on the how you use your brain will help so much, because that's what I had to do all of these years, and not even understanding why. And I'll show you something else that will help you really get this. So now I'll give you a little context. You saw I started in 1989. I sat down every day and I wrote these messages and received all this information. And this is why, if you've ever come to a Wilhelm channeling session, they will say, "We've given you an encyclopedia." And it's true, because there's no question you could possibly ask that Wilhelm hasn't given us an answer. And people have seen that when I've been in groups and all of that. And it was kind of astonishing to me that that had occurred. But you will find that you have things in you that you didn't know you had, that have gained value now because of what you have lived. And that's what is going on in your life now, and also in our world. But you've had a dream. You've had something in your life that said, this is who I'm supposed to be, and this is what's going to make a big difference in my life. And you may not have lived it yet, but the world is pushing you, the universe, to do it now. And it doesn't matter how long it takes. As I said, I've had many different careers. Um, some of them were just really disastrous. Some were really wonderful. And the biggest one that I had, I made a whole bunch of money. And then I had to leave it, because I sat down one day and I knew there was something else. And this might happen for you, so I'm saying it. I'm driving and I stopped in my car and I had to write this down. And then I came home and I typed this message because I didn't want to forget it. I didn't want to put it away, because I've done that before. You have as well. Like, yeah, you probably did it at New Year's, when you did your resolution, wrote it down, or maybe thought about it, and then now you're not going to look at it anymore. Well, I didn't want to forget. Even though I hadn't done it yet, I wasn't going to forget. You have the same thing, and it just might take you a while until it gets developed for you to be able to recognize it. So after I sat down and I wrote that, and then I came home, you see, it was 2016, and I sent it to my lovely friend, who is no longer with us, unfortunately, but she read it and said, "Very good, I made a couple of corrections." My grammar always gets a little screwy, but the essence is what is here. And this is what I'm going to tell you, because this is what I know, which is why I know what you can accomplish in your life, and there's no reason for you not to become successful and have everything you want. Okay, this is what I wrote. My life experience has been filled with dramatic peaks and valleys, along with both rewarding and challenging situations. I don't think that it was accidental that my life turned out this way. And I do believe that everything that occurs has a purpose and is waiting for us to discover. My purpose now is to devote my life to creating products and services so that others can find inspiration, guidance, and hope. I will offer myself as a guide of sorts, while using specific incidents from my own life that I have healed, overcome, or transitioned through. For those experiences, I will develop products, exercises, and experiences that others can use to enrich and enhance their own lives, and ultimately help them gain a greater sense of who they are and their own purposes in life. It is my belief that everyone possesses this purpose, but at times, and for various reasons, have difficulty recognizing the purpose or even finding meaning in their own lives. To help me accomplish those goals, I will also use and reference great leaders that have offered me guidance and wisdom, as well as the specific studies, books, and practices that provided me with real results and insight. The main focus of my work is to take complex or confusing life philosophies and spiritual practices and interpret them in a manner that others can use and implement in their own lives. Ultimately, I want everything that I create to have valuable and identifiable benefits that anyone will be able to use. Now, I wrote that in 2016. I didn't do it, but I knew it and I started. And then I started with something called Overcoming Everything because I knew that I had done that and I wanted to give that to others. And so in 2017, I sold my business. I've written about this. The article is on, I put out videos and it's on my, that article is still on my website, but I said I sold my $1 million business because I knew I had to move in another direction. And sometimes you will get stuck by the money. That's a problem because that's not who you are. So when you start to find that real place, then you start to move there. And that's what I had to do. But it was a struggle because then when I would tell others, listen, you can do this, they would look at me and say, no, it's not possible. I didn't believe it either, so I do understand. I had challenging time accepting that I had been given in all of these years and it turned into this philosophy that could change your life and the world. But I know that it's true because I've seen it happen. And then when I started walking around, and I'm saying that because the physical things that I have moved through are just, I can't, they're unbelievable. But I'm saying them now because I want you to know that there are no limits to what you can achieve. I'm going to put all this information down. That's why I'm refocusing and putting all the information in. As I showed you that cabinet with all those writings, when I first started, in 2021, this work, when I realized what was there, I only put in about 31 lessons from all of that work. That's 20,000 pages. So I have a lot to do. I'm not going to do all of it, but I'm going to write several different books and put it in there because I know that you can live this great life and we can have a much better world if more people understand who they are, and I was given that information. So now it's time to move forward with it. I was never going to do it until I could show that it worked. And so when I had, and you'll read this in my book, because in 2019, I knew I had to take that next step, so I wrote the book, Overcoming Fear, A Guide to Freedom. Because you will find fear is the only thing that holds you back. It stops you from everything. And so when you can get over it, then you can achieve. And so I put in techniques in that book as well. And they had a lot of sales last month. So a lot of people were moving through fear because of what's happening in our world. But I know what's going on. The world is just moving so that you can love yourself. That will not make sense to you until you understand the science of it. And so now I'm going to show you something else that I will leave with you because it will help so much. Okay, this is the first document, and I will leave links so you can have all of this and read it because I wanted you to have it to understand how you operate, how we all operate as humans. There's no difference. We just discover it over time, and people come about and discover new techniques that give us better ways of living, and this is one of them. So I just had my ChatGPT put together some things to give you the history and the understanding of it. And then what I wanted to do also is just I recognized over time that the reason this worked for me is because I was doing it every day. Not studying cognitive behavior training or all of that. I didn't do that. It was coming to me intuitively, so it was a little different. But it's all the same thing because it's dealing with your consciousness. I just happen to tap into that grander consciousness, which I know we are all a part of, which makes this somewhat different. Okay, this is, so you will read some of the ideas why it's difficult to change because we have cognitive dissonance, all of us. I had it. I couldn't believe that I had done this. You won't believe something. And so understanding the science of that will be really helpful for you, but you can move over it, which is why we do therapies and all of that, and why my work, the work I was given through Wilhelm, is set up that way. The only problem is I haven't finished it. Okay, so I'm doing all of this because I want everyone to know, especially people in my program, because I love them so much. And in the last channeling session, they asked, when's the rest of the program coming? It's coming now because I had to get this out of the way to explain to everyone what I'm doing, because then I'm going to take it much bigger, and I'm going to partner with other people's because I'm not the marketer, so I will need other people to help me with this. Anyway, but I'm going to leave all of this with you. And so it explains, because I had to ask, and I was lost before. When I started doing this in 1980, 89, we didn't have any internet. We had nothing. I'm relying on what I'm hearing and that's it. And sometimes maybe I'll read a magazine or go to the library and read something. And then later on, after the internet came out, though, however, I started getting more verification because I would listen to others and get the scientific validation of what I had been receiving intuitively. So you'll have all of this. But anyway, so it was explained. Wilhelm's messages often emphasize the following themes that align with cognitive behavioral principles. Again, I had no idea that's what was happening, but analyzing all of the messages, that's what it's turned into, and this is why it works on any person. And when you listen to some of the testimonies, you'll see people said they've never done anything like that because it's new. Okay, and this is, yeah. So the purpose of all of this is to get you to live a great life. You're supposed to be happy, you're supposed to be prosperous, abundant, have a great career, and be in love with yourself and others. Everyone's supposed to have that. We just have to find our unique path. And this will help you understand that. And so when you read through all of this, you'll see Wilhelm's guidance often addresses the discomfort people feel when their actions, beliefs, or societal conditioning don't align with their true selves. And you might be moving through that now because our world is moving through that. You're seeing other people believing things that you can't understand, and so you're coming to understand accept what you understand, which is why you are alive. Okay. Why Wilhelm's work is effective. It's an holistic approach. It integrates elements of psychology, like CBT, and spiritual guidance, offering a comprehensive framework for personal and collective transformation. And you'll go through all of this and you'll see that it explains everything, and I'm so happy to be able to give it to you. But there's something else. I'm going to give you another thing that will help you understand even more. When we are born, we have no idea who we're going to become. But I will tell you, who you can become is unlimited. We will only stop ourselves from what we can believe and accept, because see, who we're are meant to become is the unknown, and that's the part that's difficult, which it was for me. So I just did a little search again to talk about how things have changed as I was watching all of these folks talking about they created a philosophy, and I'm being told I've done that. And I had to like adjust my brain to accept it, because all I thought I was doing was healing my life and receiving all this information. It was never my intention to give it to other folks. Anyway, here it is. Wilhelm's teachings align with the ancient philosophical inquiries into the nature of existence, consciousness, and the soul's purpose. That's exactly what happens in here. Wilhelm's connection, his emphasis on interconnected and spiritual evolution resonates with medieval scholastic explorations of the divine and human purpose. It goes on. And every single one, and then we get down to ones who come later, and I can start to see this is where I was led. I'll tell you this, when I first started to do put together a program, the first one I did, Overcoming Everything, I started with Plato and Aristotle. So it's interesting to see it there. We're always connected and led into the right places for our individual paths. That's what goes on. So anyway, you'll see all of this. And then to see all of the Wilhelm connections is just so fascinating here, to the names, actually, because there I even found later that there was I was exposed to Goethe, who had wrote a book, Wilhelm Meister, Search for Self-Actualization. I go, how could that have happened? Because that's all I've been doing my entire life, and that's what all of this work is. And then you'll see, I did so many other things. I talked about self-actualization because that's what this work has done. It brings you to that place. Wilhelm resonates with humanistic ideals by promoting self-love. It's all there. And then it's an explanation which I wanted you all to have, where Wilhelm fits and why. Wilhelm's teachings, as channeled through Roger Burnley, represent a synthesis of multiple philosophical and psychological traditions, particularly ancient wisdom, reinforcing timeless principles of interconnectedness and soul evolution. Modern psychology builds on humanistic and transpersonal approaches, emphasizing self-acceptance, transformation, and ascension. Unique contribution. Wilhelm offers a contemporary framework for planetary and personal restructuring, bridging metaphysical philosophy and psychological healing. This aligns his messages with humanity's need for deeper spiritual understanding in times of global change. And that is exactly what happened. But again, accepting that was really challenging. So I want you to know that you're going to always doubt yourself because you haven't done the thing that's in front of you because it's just in consciousness. And then when you act and move on it, then you have confirmation. And that's what I had to do as well. In 2021, when I'm taking a walk, I heard that I was given everything we needed to know in 2012. That made no sense, and I tried to discount it. I tried to deny it. And I go back and I start looking at all the messages and I go, why are these different? Why did they come through in this way? And and that's what it was. And so when I hear that, I come in and I look at my computer, and I'm going to show you this because this is important. I didn't know it was there. I'm saying this because you don't know what's within you. It's been building. It's been this storehouse that you have, and then it starts to open up at the right time in your life and also in the world because you're that important. You have an integral contribution to make in the world, and it's energetic when you decide to love yourself. That's all. So what happened then? What's this? Yes, we will doubt ourselves, and that's what I did. And so, as I said, in 2021, when I heard that I was given everything in 2012, I said that made no sense, except the communication was quite clear. I had two Akashic Records reading done that year. I'd never done that before, but I said, let me try this and see. Maybe I could get some other confirmation. Because I was told that I was given this information, and it was a philosophy called Your Life Operating Instructions. And I said, I need some validation on this, even though I'm seeing it work in my life. But to tell other people that, that was a little challenging. And this is what happened.
Sometimes it doesn't hurt to have a little bit of a push
Mm-hmm.
because you are ready for it, they say. Okay, so let's ask, how are we going to facilitate this integration support? This is very interesting. They show me they're showing me a lifetime that's interesting. That it's an Egyptian lifetime of
Mm-hmm.
yours
Mm-hmm.
where you were one of the priests that were responsible for mummifying the mummies,
Mm-hmm.
basically, the dead bodies. And it's almost like it's like a high priest energy. Very, very powerful. Um, wow. So, and you're responsible for like the process of extracting the brain through the
Mm-hmm.
nose, like that part of emptying um, the head cavity before
Mm-hmm.
mummification. And that was, they say that was the highest of honors because it was like extracting the physical operating system, they call it,
Mm-hmm.
of the being before placing it. So yes, for some reason, they felt that you really needed to hear that. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, that took a while.
yeah,
It was that shock. It was that recognition where I could no longer deny, but I still did. And you might have done that as well, and that's okay because it's that acceptance again that we're always coming to, and it doesn't matter when it happens, whenever it shows up in your life is the right time. And so I want to explain all of this because I know that you can accomplish anything, and I am going to finish that now. What I'm saying is that in 2021, when I first got all of this. That was December. Then in that December, I put a bunch of people in the program. I said, I want to see if this will work, if it's giving people the results, because that's always what I have to know beforehand. And then I received, just in a meeting we were having one day, a couple of days, I just put together a few things that people were saying. And they're telling me how great this work was, how it had changed them in ways they didn't understand, and even better than so many other people they had worked with. I don't really care about the comparisons. I didn't go with that. I had to understand it myself. I had to accept it because when I put something out, I have to know that it's going to work for you. And now I know there's nothing you can't accomplish because I've done it, and I'm going to give everyone who wants that ability to really live this great life, they're going to now have that. So what it is now, anybody can afford doing this, but what we're doing is in the next couple of weeks, you probably will see that we're changing and putting much more in. I did 31 days. You saw all of that information. All that those people have had so far is 31 days. You don't change that way. It's not scientifically possible for everything to change and you to integrate who you are and move and walk in this new way. I can tell you that it's taken me this long. And so to start walking in, that's going to be a whole nother story. Many people know about my foot surgeries for all the years and all that. It's all gone and healed, and I'm walking like a normal person at 74. Things are possible when we don't give up on ourselves. That's what happens. So this is the last little thing I'm going to leave here because I want you to understand it. I had them write it because I needed to put it a, in a way, understandable way, how this happened. But the way that it happens is the same way for you. You go inside, you discover who you are, and you figure out that gem that you were given at birth to start to develop, and then you start doing that. All I did was make a way, a plan. Well, I just accepted it from Wilhelm. I didn't do it. And that's the thing, too, I want people to understand. When I'm receiving Wilhelm, it's in a different dimension. I haven't integrated it all or lived it or used it all. But that's what I'm doing now. And it's fascinating. When I did the last several days of putting up messages, of cumulative messages, and having to read them, I was in a completely different place just going through them. That's why I put those links in the video, because if you do that, you will see that you will change. But there's one thing that I'm going to leave, and this is how this came about, because I want everyone to understand it, because I'm going to begin approaching others, people who are much bigger marketers and all that than me, because they will charge the correct rate for it. They will give me the facility to put everything in, because that's what I've got to do now. Because I'm thrilled with it. I'm thrilled with the having lived this life that was so challenging to end up with something that could give you the ability to live a great life, and I know that it will give us a great world. That's what will happen. But this is the last thing I'll leave with you. For the last several years, it's been really challenging for people to understand what I've been up to, what I was doing in my life. I'm talking about people who know me, family, friends, clients, whatever. So I thought I'd leave something so that you would understand, because I know what you can accomplish, and I just want you to understand how I did it. Because there's something within you that could cause you to create something magnificent. So, over the years, I received cosmic guidance from Wilhelm through a process of automatic writing and channeling, which unfolded gradually and consistently. I now see that these messages often coincided with significant energetic and planetary shifts happening in our world, serving as a mirror for both personal and collective transformation. At first, I didn't fully understand the profound impact this guidance was having on me. I followed my intuition, documenting Wilhelm's messages without realizing how deeply they were shaping my journey. As I internalized the teachings, I began to release old beliefs, fears, and even generational traumas. I wasn't consciously aware at the time that I was healing. I simply trusted the process, one step at a time. The energetic shifts in the world seemed to align with my own inner evolution. These planetary changes became catalysts for deeper self-reflection, pushing me to let go of limitations and move closer to my true purpose. Each alignment, each celestial event seemed to amplify the messages I was receiving, guiding me to uncover layers of healing and self-discovery I hadn't known were possible. It wasn't until much later that I realized the depth of this healing. Wilhelm's guidance had not only illuminated my path, but also helped me shed patterns I had carried for years. This process allowed me to embrace my role as a guide, offering the wisdom I've gained to help others find their own healing and transformation. It has become clear to me that the messages I received were not just for me, but for anyone seeking to fulfill their potential and contribute to the evolution of our world. And that is true. And so, like I said, I'm going to leave this little video with you because it's a testimonial from the very first time in 2021 that I didn't finish, but now that's what I'm doing. I had to verify all of this, and I had to have the experience of it. And so I'm going to now document it. I'm going to start talking to so many other people because I want this to get to many more people. I'll tell you something else. You have to plant in your head where you're going. You have to know that. In 2018, I wrote myself a check for $10 million because I knew that what I had uncovered, what I had discovered would be worth that much. And implanting that into my brain, into your brain, that's what happens. We're always creating. And so whatever you use, or your visualization or whatever, I wrote a check because I wanted to visualize it. I was never concerned about the money. That's never why I did this, as you could see from that first message in 1989. As a matter, I never wanted this work to go to anyone. I kept it private for the longest time because I thought it was just my personal thing. And it can heal anyone. And that's what I got in touch with. And then what I discovered just recently, all of this alignment, you will see messages where Wilhelm has said every major astrological change, because we're affected emotionally, mentally, spiritually by the changes that happen from the planets. We're beginning to understand that, and I'm going to understand so much more because I'm going to do a little more research. It was kind of surprising to figure out that I had, over years, consistently put messages of a theme on one particular date. And if you look at February 19th, you'll see that trend. I'm saying this because I want you to not limit yourself in terms of what you can achieve or accomplish, because I know that there's so much more. So please check out everything. I'll leave this at the end because what I'm doing now, the rest of my life, is finishing this work. And I'd love to have anyone who is ready to join us in uplifting yourself and our world, because that's what we're doing now. There are no limits to what you can achieve. I know this. And so I just want you to know it. And everything I've done in this last couple of weeks is putting out more information so that you can just work with it and just see how you change and start to understand yourself and love yourself, because that's what you want and that's what our world needs from you. See you soon.
I find this work is very powerful. They change a lot very quickly. It's like quite surprising how things are changing for me.
I want to say how grateful I am that you've done this. And the time that you've put through on this is just amazing. And as we get older and we put through something like this into the world, you don't know the benefits of it until years later.
I just want to thank you for the program. Probably a year or two ago, if there was a tough decision to make, especially about money or anything like that, I would let fear and worry guide me away from a decision that might have helped me grow.
I have moved. I have made some positive changes. Hey, good, bad, or ugly, you did it. That's the main thing.
When you say the time is now, and I always appreciate it, because now more than ever, I feel a little bit more satisfied myself, because especially lately, I keep leaving a project not finished.
I love the program. I love the questions, but I think that being aware of everything that's inside of you and bringing it out onto paper, it really does make you step forward in that area.
The way the questions penetrate into your memory and into your past experiences is so unique. Yeah, it really goes deep very, very quickly. I mean, I'm only on day 3, but the way like the questions are presented and the things you read before and the whole steps you go through, probably a lot of people's experiences, but it goes really deep, really, really quickly.
I mean, every day has its difficulties, but like, it's better than it was. You know, I mean, I'm doing more things that I enjoy and like I find that I personally feel like I'm meant to do. my book and everything, and then with the acting, I'm working on all that.
I've been taking so much courses, like especially with this pandemic. I approach different from Tony Robbins, from Bob Proctor, from Jack Canfield, and also I've been following Abraham Hicks, but never really brought me the result that I wanted to do it. So I'm very, this course is very more, I found that I think it's a bit faster.
Roger, I just wanted to say thank you again, because a few years ago I realised that voice coaching wasn't the only thing that I could do, and that I had something else. But I didn't know what it was. I had no idea what it was.
Yeah.